Okay, Parashat Vayishlach. So you guys know that I was a little sick this week, but that's not the reason why I'm going to say what I'm going to say about the parasha. So before I'm going to say what I'm going to say about the parasha, I want to put a disclaimer there to all those who would like a parasha which tells you how everything is good and how, all the stories and how everybody did everything perfect. Well, if that's what you're looking for, I will be perfectly fine if you just turn it off and go somewhere else, because this is not what this is all about. I'm here about to kick you in the gut, and I think it's about time. So if you want to listen to it until the end, you can stick around. But again, I'm telling you, it's not something that you usually get used to hear. And without further ado, I'll give you a chance. If you want to continue to listen, listen. If not, sei gesund. Right. Don't tell me I didn't warn you. By the way, I don't want also like stupid, nasty, remarks on the YouTube or whatever it is, because the show's going to simply delete it. I'm sick and tired of losers. If you have questions, you can ask the questions, but I just don't want losers anymore. Anyway, the parasha deals with situations of extreme and immediate existential survival. It's very applicable to our times today. Yaakov comes back to Eretz Israel after more than 20 years in which he was absent, was missing in action, and he meets his brother Esav that comes to kill him and the whole entire family. And from the story of this meeting between Yaakov and Esav, Chazal learns how we need to operate when we're standing in front or about to face danger or problem. Again, I have to apologize. I don't think I apologize about my weird voice today because I've been battling a flu. Anyway, so regardless of the promises of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Yaakov Avinu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu promised him, listen, I'll be with you, don't worry about it. Of course, when he comes back to the land and he's going to guard him, Yaakov was petrified from meeting Esav. And he teaches us that we need to be prepared for three things, in a situation like this. The first one is Doron, which is, I think, by the way, I want to welcome again our dear Talmid Eitan, who came back from the Holy Land to give us some of the spirit of the land, and without even knowing he's here, I guess I was mechaven this week's parasha for that. So Etzion, welcome aboard again. Now, so Doron, which is a Greek word, by the way, it's really giving gifts and appeasing. Prayer, we need to prepare, and we need to prepare for war. And so is Yaakov, is building a psychological apparatus all there together. They really were supposed to soften his return to a smoother landing into the land, and to really make Esav a little bit more tranquil. And he sends him gifts and so on and so forth. He sends him sheep and camels and cattle and stuff like this. And he's getting ready for war. And by splitting his camp into two. Now, I don't know if this is about really getting ready for war. I mean, if you get into war, you need to get swords. But he is getting to a elimination war, and guess he's going to go down the battle. At least something would remain of him. So that's his preparation for war. And prayer. Now, the prayer of Yaakov Avinu is a masterpiece and a model for any kind of prayer. It is very detailed and is very reasoned and is focused, and it connects directly to the need and to the want that he needs. And that's something which I think we should learn tremendously from this week's parasha, and exactly how to pray when you pray. Another thing we could learn, with all these promises that we have from God, even though we might have, and I'm saying might have, really strong belief, a strong emunah, we should never approach a situation like something it is, or someone owes us anything, or we deserve something. Yaakov was concerned maybe there was some chet, some kind of a sin or some wrongdoing with him that might blemish his effort, and he's going to come blemished to this event with Esav, and by doing so, Esav is going to actually win him. He's going to find the weak spot. He's going to deliver a killer touch, kung fu style. Bang, is over. 20 years he wasn't in the Holy Land, and 20 years he was in complete disconnect. He didn't have WhatsApp, Yaakov Avinu, nor all the other stuff, which I'm going to touch about social media later on. He did not deal with Kibud Avayim. He didn't pick up the phone and call dad and mom and dad. And maybe those merits that Esav had really would be standing for him and will work against Yaakov. That's why he's praying and he's asking God for mercy. Again, he's asking God for mercy. Together with that, that's not enough for him. But he also does his own effort. He does his own due diligence on that any person has to do. Any person has to do whatever you could in a natural way. You don't ask for miracles, right? He does not count on a miracle because we know the halacha she'en somchim al hanes. You don't rely on miracles to happen to you. You got to do what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do. And to sit down and saying, I have full emunah without doing anything, well, maybe you should read this parasha all over again, because that's not going to happen. You got to do what needs to be done. Now, and that's why he's also splitting, as we said before, his camp into two, and he sends the gifts and so on. And it says, and because Yaakov knows, and that's Yaakov's own, mind speaking, as Chazal tells us, the Torah tells us in Sefer Dvarim, Perek Tet Zayin, Pasuk
Zayin,
Yutet. Ki hashochat ya'aver einei chachamim. Bribery might blind even the smart people, wise people. Bribery will blind them. So he in his mind says, well, if it's ya'aver einei chachamim, if it's going to blind the eyes of the wise man, even more so the eyes of a wicked man. And hey, my brother Esav is a wicked person, so I'll bribe him. Hey, Zalman is saying yes, and I think he knows where I want to go, but I'll tell you, Zalman doesn't know where I want to go. So the night before that meeting with Esav, of course, there is a famous battle that takes place of Yaakov fighting the Malach, and it says, "Vayivater Yaakov levado, vayavek ishimo ad alut hashachar." They were wrestling until dawn, and that supposedly man was an angel. And the name of the angel is the Malach Samael, which is the minister of Esav. And we know that every nation has an angel that it kind of supervises it in the heavens. And the Samael was the minister or the angel of Esav. And in order to conquer a nation in the world, you need to do something to actually conquer that angel up in Shamayim, in the heavens for it, and this is how you actually gain control of its nature. Here, in other words, you have to do a root canal. You have to take care of the source. You don't bite at the stick, you bite the hand that holds the stick. And that's what we need to remember. As it says, for example, in Yetziat Mitzrayim, when Bnei Israel came out of Egypt, and they were standing on the Yam Suf, and the Egyptian army with the chariots, which of course was a revolutionary concept at the time, to have fighting through chariot. The Egyptians, invented that and mastered that. And it says, "Vayisu bnei Yisrael et einehem, v'nei Mitzrayim nosea achareim." Egypt is marching right after them. And Rashi says over there, "Ra'ush sar shel Mitzrayim nosea min hashamayim la'azor leMitzrayim." So the angel of Egypt traveling with them to help them goes in a way before him. Don't forget, we also had something that was walking ahead of our camp in the desert. However, it was no angel, it was God. But they have it like this. That's why Chazal tells us, En Mazal Israel, the conduct of Am Yisrael is not through angels, it's through God directly. But we need to remember that. Also over there, so therefore there was a real struggle against the minister or the angel of Egypt. And here Yaakov Avinu is fighting with the angel of Esav. He wins over, but the Malach hits him in one place, which is the hip of Yaakov Avinu, and he hits the place that we call Gida Nashe. Gida Nashe is where the sciatic nerve goes out. That's why many Jews have problems with the sciatic nerve. I guess that's what it is. Now we need to understand that in creation, genetic. It's spiritual genetically. Yes, spiritually inherited. It's very symbolic, by the way. It's very symbolic. We know that in creation there is a system of tikkun, of repair. It's the initials for that is Ashan, Ayin, Shin, and then Nun. Ayin is Olam, Shana is the year, and then is the nefesh. This has to be fixed. The place has to be fixed, the nefesh has to be fixed, and it has to be fixed on a specific time. In the format of these three conditions, there is also different types of realities that exist within within creation itself. There's more than just what we see as a reality. In any format of tikkun, there's also a place of weakness. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol nהיה b'doro. Amen. There's a place of weakness, which is a place that we cannot really fix until the tikkun is completely fixed. What we need to do is don't come even near there. Don't come even near there. And you'll see, maybe this is, I'm going to jump the gun a little bit, we'll talk about it later on, Be'ezrat Hashem, but this is maybe one of the reasons when the Satmar Rav in Sefer Vayoel Moshe writes that the three Shvuot, one of them is Lo letapes bagader, Lo leachish et hageula, Lo letapes bagader. In other words, when things need to happen, they will happen, but don't push what doesn't need to happen when it's not the time for it yet, because the tikkun is not there yet. About the other stuff we'll deal maybe later, but it's a concept that we need to understand that. Not everything has to be done on our terms. We are here to fix something, to do certain things, based on what needs to be fixed and when needs to be fixed, not based on what we want to fix when it's not in our hands. And tikkun, fixing, is taking something that has a certain shape, a certain form, and to really make an assortment of all the particles that are in it. And to do a tikkun, for example, I'll give you an example, is eating. Right now, thanks to Idan, as usual, they make an awesome chulent. We're eating the chulent. And it's like when you take apart a plane or an engine or a lab. You put everything, you organize everything before you start putting it together, and it has to be in an organized fashion. And you really need to, at that point, to see and to assort what is good and what is bad. During the time of Adam HaRishon and the Chet, everything got mixed up, and our job is really to sort things out, to use a certain sift or a certain type of a filter to be able to separate the good from the bad, and then to deal with the good, but not to deal with the bad, because the bad is beyond our abilities to fix. Whatever is good to connect to our body, and then whatever is the garbage is to simply reject it away from us. And through, for example, the process of eating, that's we doing a tikkun also. That's why we need to make a bracha beforehand and a bracha after. And this is basically our job. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us a lot of material, a lot of stuff to work with, and we need to do that. We need to therefore identify always what's good and what's bad. And we should not be confusing it. You should also know there are certain places that, as we said before, that you cannot fix before the time of it would allow you to fix it. And in other words, you're not allowed to touch it. For example, if we're going to take a timely example will be Tisha B'Av. Tisha B'Av is a time that we cannot do anything for it, and that is going to be the nefesh of the person. That will be the Gida Nashe. There's certain things we cannot fix, and there's also places like this in the world that we cannot fix or go, or we should not come near. And the Zohar explains. He says, "Yesh ba'adam shasa gidim." The human body, according to the Jewish count. Now, don't tell me you take in anatomy, and you know better, because different counts, different things count differently. The same thing as, let's say, in butchering, right? There is a different count of the animal, or different methods of butchering between American, German, Polish, and whatever in between. Which one is correct? Well, they're all correct. The same thing to us. We count in Judaism. We count 365 tendons and sinews and ligaments and so on and so forth. Keneged shasa, against 365. There are those mitzvot that correspond with it, with this mitzvot lo ta'aseh, which was given to us not to do. The lo ta'aseh, not to do. One of them is Gida Nashe, that sciatic nerve that we cannot eat in the back part of the animal. Even though it's the best steak, for those of you who like steaks, the rump steak or the T-bone or whatever you have it, but it's beyond our ability to fix it. And this is corresponding with the 365 days of the year, which Tisha B'Av is one of them. And Tisha B'Av, one of them is corresponding with the Malach Sam'el, which we said is the angel of Esav, one of 365 angels that correspond with every nation in the world throughout the year. So therefore, it says that Tisha B'Av, right, is in the 365 days of the year. Gida Nashe is the 365 limbs of the person, and that is basically one attribute. That's why the Torah says, "Lo yochlu bnei Israel et Gida Nashe." Et Gida Nashe, lerabot, to include Tisha B'Av. And Tisha B'Av we cannot eat and we cannot drink, to show you that this all has to do with Tisha B'Av. So the place that the Malach affected Yaakov Avinu is in the hip, in the leg. And Chazal tells us that those two legs is basically what makes the body. We all know, no need Chazal for that, but the remes behind it is what stand up the whole shape of the person, where the right leg, right, is the corresponding with the sfera of Netzach, which prophecy came from, and that's exactly the leg in which the Malach disconnected. And since that point, prophecy has gone from Am Yisrael until just for few individuals had it. Moshe Rabbeinu is one of them, but prophecy in general has gone. Until, of course, Shmuel killed Hagag, which is Mizera Amalek, and then the floods of prophecy came. Until then, there was no prophecy. You just have to remember that. And the left leg is considered to be Hod. Hod, we should know that all our troubles started with Hod. Maze Hod? How do you say Hod?
Glory.
Glory. Now, of course, Abotai, it's not just for nothing. Think about the glory later on when I'm going to talk to you about what I'm going to talk to you about. The Sfera of Hod is the fifth Sfera in the apparatus called Ze'er Anpin, and Chodesh Av is the fifth month of the year, starting from Nisan, and in the 5,000, right? These are the Batei Mikdash were destroyed, and that's why it says in Daniel, "Vehodi ne'efach alay lemashchit," and my glory became my destruction. It's in Daniel, Perek Yud, verse 8. And it says, "Al ken lo yachlu bnei Israel et Gida Nashe." Why? Because it's a place beyond repair. We cannot fix it. We cannot fix it, you don't eat it. You deal with what you can deal. Don't deal with things you cannot deal. By the way, which is a very good advice to many things in life. We always worry about things that with nothing to do with us. Why you worry about it? Right? It's nothing to do with you, but why you worried about it? But we have what to fix. We have a lot what to fix. And I'm going to tell you this. It's very hard to say it, and it's maybe incorrect to say it as criticism. But we need to look at the actions of Yaakov Avinu as an effort of the Torah to teach us something, a lesson in life, and not to tell us stories. Not to tell us stories. The problem is maybe not with Esav altogether, but the problem might be with Yaakov Avinu. Again, this is not criticizing Yaakov Avinu, it's something to teach us. The approach of Yaakov Avinu, as it's mentioned in this parasha, caused us throughout the years to continue in the same path. And again, I know some of you who wanted to, I guess, curious to see what I'm going to say, would get very angry with them, but I don't really care. I don't care. I'm not afraid of what you're going to say, and nor I care. But I need to tell you that. That approach of Yaakov lingered to us, throughout the years, in which we learned to mimic his ways. And this is how we used to come to interact with the goyim, with the nations, through bribery, through looking weak. And why do we need to make ourselves weak in the eyes of the nations? For what? For them to feel mercy on us? Mercy? Rachamim from the goy? Lech le'Hashem ki rabu rachamav, nipelana beyad Hashem ki rabu rachamav. Yes, I know the outrageous act that happened on October 7th. But right away, we went to the nations and said, oh, maybe now you understand what we're talking about all the time. We wanted the goyim to feel bad for us. I don't blame the goyim for that. I blame ourselves. I blame ourselves. Me, one of them, because I'm a part of this nation. And I'm sick and tired of it. We are sending our messages to the wrong address. We are pleading for mercy at the wrong place. We don't need to ask mercy from the nations. We need to ask mercy from Hashem. What happened to us? You wonder why we got to this situation? Look at this. I mean, you would think that maybe after October 7th, there will be some nations, the nations of the world will be, wah-rah, Jews, we understand you. No, they made them hate us more. I don't understand. You don't understand? I understand. And I'm going to explain to you why. Maybe you don't want to hear it. Maybe you'll get upset with me, but I don't care if you get upset. I want you to listen, maybe change it. It's about time. When the Torah tells us, Goy levadad yishkon uva goyim lo yitchashav, a nation would dwell on its own, would not consider the nations of the world, right? We always say, and we don't want to do it. Goy levadad, oy, we want to be, But we forget about uva goyim lo yitchashav. What does it mean? It means you got to do what you got to do. You got to do what you want to do. You don't have to ask, this one or the other one for permission to run your own country, like is going on in Israel right now. Israel cannot do what it wants. It needs approval from this one and approval from the other one. Mazeh. Did we come to independence? Or we still live in a shtetl by the pirates who tell us what you're allowed and not allowed to do? What in the world is wrong with us? I'm going to tell you something. Very famous thing, and I posted, what's his name? Menachem Begin told at the time in 1982, he told, what's his name? President Biden, when he was a senator. He said, there's no more this Jew who is weak and trembling. That's a Jew that is willing to fight for himself, and even if he could die for it. Because you did not come to help us in the chambers. And we got to do what we got to do. Unfortunately, he gave Sinai back because, they put pressure on him, or for whatever reason, which was a mistake. But never mind for that. I mean, he got stuck with Gaza. We got stuck with Gaza. I don't know if you guys know that because you're too young to know that. But let me tell you something. Gaza was Egypt. Was never one of those parasatans. It was Egypt. And I used to speak to the people and sit down and break bread with them. They all had Egyptian passports. Don't tell me otherwise. What happened to us? We kept on seeing that. And why did Yaakov is doing that? This is, by the way, how all the Jews did throughout the generations. And the mistake that Yaakov did, he came already with a predetermined notion and a concern that Esav is coming to kill him. That's why he's becoming weak, because of all these reports that are coming all the time. That's another reason why you should not listen to the news or what the media tells you. And everything that he got, he saw and just confirmed his concern that that's what's going to happen. Well, I'm not talking about falling asleep on the job. I'm not talking about the failure, intelligence failure of the IDF on October 7th. I'm not talking about that. They fell asleep on the job. I'm not talking about this. But maybe now, if you understand, I always thought, like, Ribono Shel Olam, why did Moshe Rabbeinu, the greatest prophet, had to send prophets? Not prophets, I'm sorry, he had to send spies to Israel. That was is a great plan, but also a certain failure on Moshe Rabbeinu's behalf. Why? Because 10 out of 12 failed. Why? Because they came to Israel with a predetermined notions. Moshe Rabbeinu said, listen, I got to do what needs to be done. Go tour the land. Don't be afraid. Go see. Go check it out. Don't count on miracles. Go test the land. Well, maybe that's what Yaakov Avinu should have done. Yaakov Avinu should have sent spies to see what's going on. Use some intelligence to see what's going on with Esav. Where's the wind blowing? And then act according to that. In other words, Yaakov Avinu failed. What's his name? Sherlock Holmes always said. He took his evidence and make the evidence fit his theory instead of fitting his theory to the evidence, to what is really happening there. Everything that all the people are saying, oh yes, he's doing this, and 400 people, and this, and so many different things. Yaakov Avinu failed himself on that. And we do the same thing. Yaakov Avinu was not able yet to lift himself to the level of Israel. He still stayed in a concept Yaakov. That's maybe the end of the trial for him. Maybe. I don't want to talk about the raping of Dinah. And look, after that, when Shimon and Levi said, Ma, kezonah yaseh et achotenu. You never heard in history again until October 7th, that, and some other times. But in ancient history, no other nation raped a Jewish woman. Why? Because they know they're going to come in. We're going to kill you all. We're not going to sit silent for that. Yaakov Avinu, even still then, he's afraid what the nation would say. Apparently they didn't say anything. They were afraid. What, that's what you're going to do to a Jewish girl? Look what we're going to do to you now. Now, again, as I said to you, you cannot fall asleep at the gate, on your guard duty. You gotta be aware all the time. You need to check, but you need to check this from a point of confidence and power, not of fear. Fear is going to make you fail. Fear will make you fail. Any decision that you'll make out of fear is doomed to failure. Don't do that. Yes, sometimes fear helps you grow. I will agree with that. But only when you're able to overcome fear. When fear penetrates into your DNA, into your being, you're going to fail. And, for example, why did the Jews throughout exile never made Aliyah to Israel? When Israel was a no man's land, Habibi, there were not even Arabs there. Why didn't they do it? Were they afraid? Why? You ever ask yourself? Well, maybe the time didn't come. But you think that you're going to go now to Israel and your problems are going to be solved, by the way? Not if you're dragging the galut and this mindset to Israel as well. You think everybody in Israel is a fighter and a brave person? No. Many people brought the galut with them from Queens to Israel, from whatever they came to, from Poland to Israel. They still carry that exile mentality of fear. And that's why I hate people who implant fear into you. Oh, this is not good for you. This is not. What do you want me to do? Immobilize? Just sit there and let life roll over me? No, it's not going to happen like this. Guys, let me tell you something. Have you ever been into an ocean when there are waves coming? Yeah. You went into the ocean when the big waves are coming? Like real big waves? It's scary. But what do you need to do? You need to learn how to surf. You dive into the wave. And if you learn how to surf, you fall until you're waiting for these big waves. Just stop already. All these people who put fear into you, disconnect yourself from them. Disconnect. Go to the person who helps you and teaches you how to become stronger, to operate out of strength. We bring this with us to Israel, to the point that, God forbid, there will be people who go into the IDF. Oh no, I'm going to go behind the stender. I'm going to be like Yaakov Avinu. Hey, listen, why the Torah giving us all these things? For you what? To tell you stories? For that you don't need the Torah. For that you take the little Midrash says. Here the Torah is teaching you a lesson of what not to do. The Torah does not glorify the actions of our forefathers for a reason. That they are great. We all know that. Is there a doubt about it? Absolutely not. But Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, everybody were enormous people. Why is the Torah always telling us all these things? To show you that even great people can make mistakes. And these are mistakes that you and I will keep on repeating because we like to imitate. How many of us actually did this Lech Lecha of Yaakov, of Abraham Avinu? How many of us? Do we approach the world like that out of fear? Do we approach the world, our interactions with the Goyim, with the nations, with the world, through a predetermined notion? That just assure our ways that we are weak and so on and so forth? Listen, one way is to overcome the fear, or to overcome fear, is simply not to care. And that's exactly what the Torah tells us. You're going to be alone, and you're going to make decisions based on what you need to make your decisions. I don't care. I don't care. Whatever happens, happens. I told you this many times, the lesson that my father, alav hashalom, taught me when I was a kid in like first grade, when I was bullied one time. And that's it. I'm not going to repeat it now. But that was a lesson. Don't be afraid. What's the worst that can happen? You're going to die? We're all going to die. Why are you being afraid? Don't care. We have to stop with it. Look, there was a kid in Jersey that went in Bergen County, in Furlong, that they went to get a haircut with peos, and the Arab cut his peos laughing. The mother was frantic. She went to the other guy. The other guy spoke to him in Arabic. He cut the other peos. The mother ran out. I don't understand. a kosher restaurant that has nothing to do with anything, you have people banging on the windows. Why aren't there Jews banging on this guy's window all the time? Well, I don't know, putting like a pig's head on his front door. Why? What do we want to do? We should go to social media. Social media is a farce. I want you to go to Instagram. Every time there is some comment about Palestinians, about Israel, or something like this, I've seen this Ethiopian lady that posts all the time. Let me tell you, go back to Africa. Go back to Africa. You colonize in Israel. Like, if I would say this to any African American in the United States, go back to Africa. Oh my God! And if I'll report this to Instagram, they'll take it out on the spot. On reports, and I do it systematically, on reports of what would be absolutely not acceptable through any other group of people in the world. When it comes to the Jews, they just don't care. And what do? You do absolutely nothing about it. You don't write to them, you don't complain to them, you don't do anything. Because we have a loser mentality. Losers. We operate out of fear. We want the goyim to be now. I'll just flip like this. I'll see how to make challah. I press Am Yisrael Chai. That will do it. That would not do it. You have a mouth. Open it. Stop already. They're going to walk all over you, which they are. What are you doing about it? You do nothing. Did you call the chief of the police? You had all your big shots in the shuls that they buy stuff for millions of dollars. Calling the mayor. Hey, listen, mayor. You know, we were at your banquet for $1,000 a person. If you're not going to do something about it, you're not going to see a penny from us anymore. Stop bribing yourself into glory. You're taking pictures of yourself with the mayor. Who in the world cares? Do something about it. You losers. You think that with money you buy security? You won't. And that's what Yaakov Avinu failed here. And I'm willing to say failed because we learn from this. We learn from this. You want to know how to overcome fear? Go look at some good guys. Look, what's his name? This guy, I really like him. He was called the Sheriff of Baghdad. John Shrek McPhee, the Sheriff of Baghdad. Go, I'm sure you'll find a video how to overcome fear. He's an ex-Delta Force operator. Learn how to overcome fear. I mean, you listen to everything. You're taking courses of how to speak to your wife, how to win friends, and whatever it is, Carnegie Hall, sandwich, right? Well, you live in different times. Nobody's going to be your friend. Nobody cares about you. You never know how to live. So you know what? Go learn from the top of the line, from people like that, how to actually to overcome fear. But stop living in this exile mentality that it's okay for a Jew to be stepped on, and you see it as a point of glory, like a badge of honor, that somebody spits on you and you call it rain. I mean, enough already. Enough. Well, it didn't help us in Germany. But you think you're immune from it here? You're wrong. That's a lesson for you to learn, for all of us to learn. Yaakov, in a way, listen, doesn't give Esav much chance for brotherly love, as they say. But I think Esav, I usually talk about it, but I think Esav actually gave him some lesson. And we always try to see what's bad about Esav and so on and so forth, but we always fail to learn from Yaakov's action and to elevate ourselves to the level of Israel. Maybe the reception that Esav had to Yaakov with 400 men was of an honor to Yaakov. Imagine a president goes down on the plane and there's a whole line of army soldiers with weapons like this standing, you should go right back on the plane and take off. No, it's honor. They're honoring me, right? And you hear cannons and 21 cannons. He said, oh my goodness, they're trying to kill me. No, you run. No, it's honor. Maybe that was a way of Esav to to show him honor to Yaakov Avinu. It's not just another guy coming. It's after all, it's Yaakov Avinu. I know you're saying, oh, maybe. But I'm going to tell you, try to empty your mind for whatever you were told in first grade. Maybe that will help you a little bit. You're not in first grade anymore. Think of things differently. He's teaching him a lesson here. Maybe his intent was not for war, but rather for honor. We never looked at it this way. And the fact that, and I'm going to show you what I'm right, because he never mentions to him once, hey, Yaakov, buddy, still remember what you did to me. I still remember how you cheated me. He doesn't say anything about it. Man, it's over. Water under the bridge. I'm done with this already. And as for us to say, he tried to kiss him, he beat him, Yaakov Avinu did some qigong, his teeth broke. Come on, give me a break. Mazeh. Like this you will never learn. Why? Because you're looking for all the stories to justify your weak behavior. Well, guys, if you're a weak behavior, you cannot be a master of your own country. And don't think that the goys don't know that. 1967, we did what we needed to do. But look what happened. Now we have to ask permission to bomb this or permission to bomb that. We need when women and children are being killed and raped, we need the world to tell us to restrain ourselves. The heck with you. We need to restrain a bunch of murderous, bloodthirsty thugs. I need to restrain. Now, I'm going to tell you something else. If you think that this is not going to happen here in the United States because of this attitude is contagious, by the way. And that's how people take control over you. But we need to learn. What I'm trying to tell you is we need to learn. And he tells, when Yaakov tries to give him all the gifts, he says, Yaakov, buddy, no, it's okay, I got enough, I'm okay, I don't need any more, I don't need anything. And he goes. Yaakov says, listen, this place is too small, it's not a problem, I'm going to go back I'll go somewhere, don't worry about it. I mean, what happened to Esav, the wicked guy? Maybe we missed it all those years. Maybe we did. Let's get out of this exile mentality and let's try to be straight with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When you're Yeshar El, straight with God. We should stop being apologetic about us being Jews. We should have to bend backwards and downwards and let everybody step on us just for the fact that we are Jewish people. Now, it doesn't make a difference if it's here or in Israel. And we should sometimes come out on the stenders and actually help somebody fight over there. I'm going to tell you the following. As it says, whoever always complains, God gives us reason to complain. Whoever is afraid, God always gives us reason to be afraid. So instead of complaining and being afraid, let's thank God. And let's be proud of who we are. Because then God will give us reasons to be happy, to be proud, and to be safe in who we are. Guys, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.